Core system login in progress.
Okay. We're back in handle input. We need vector or a local variable to store our mouse point. Makes things easier. We're going to go ahead and check if its x is greater than 200. We will have a canvas, a little bit over here. So to make things quicker, I'm just going to go ahead and implement this. Canvas will have a panel over to the side that's 200 wide, and I do not want, when we click on that canvas, to edit things in the scene. So we'll go ahead and put that in place right now. We need an array. So our array is converting our mouse point to a world point, and then from the direction that we are facing, shooting a line. And that line, of course, is infinite, but the click distance variable that we created a little bit ago will limit how far down that ray we want to travel to see if we hit anything. So if we click on a trigger style collider. A trigger style collider is just another type of collider. It doesn't interfere. We can walk through a collider like that with our character controller. With our character, it will just pass through a trigger collider, but it will still fire off a trigger that a collision has happened. It just won't stop us. The Unity physics will not stop our character controller from going through it, and any other things can pass through it. And since our chunk, the actual mesh, is a child of our lab chunk, we want to make sure that what we collide it with has a parent. So we have a few more variables to put up here. I'm going to put them right there underneath column and row. And I put you can declare these local to this function, but I'm putting them up here so I can see what their value is for debugging purposes. The normal is the direction we hit it from. And then we will also have the picked column, picked Y, and picked row that we clicked on. And this is not the same as these three. Pick column is the X, but it's been it'll be taken down to our chunk level because every chunk will have a 0 column. So chunk number 2 will actually start at point 16, but point 16 is actually 0 column. So the pick column, this will be 16, but this will be 0. go ahead and turn these normals into integers also. Just to avoid the floating point error. Dang it, I can't unless I convert. Just go ahead and leave them as floats. Occasionally these will round off to like 0.99, but it shouldn't hurt us. Try all different kind of techniques to fight or deal with that. The best one really is to have everything as a integer, but you can't really have it that way always. Y really is just the Y. Just edit it so much. I'd like to know what its original value was. Okay. Now we need to create a new function called HandlePlace.
Access granted.
And actually we'll have a couple different versions, or a couple different methods we're going to call HandlePlace. But this will be our main HandlePlace. We'll call, or we'll do a little bit of work and then call the correct child function. We're calling our 3D version of getNuggetIndex here. So we need to make sure our nugget index that we got back was valid. If not, we're going to go ahead and set our preview somewhere. Right up here, let's jump back. If the input mode we'll call this. So the first method we're going to go ahead and put in place right now is going to be based on our normal.
Access granted.
So let's jump over to Curta real fast. So this is our cube, our nugget. We click from our scene view. We're clicking down. This is our line being passed in. we are going to we're going to get back a normal saying what direction we clicked from. So if we clicked over here, it would be the positive, it would return a normal vector that has a positive x, and we're going to turn the y and the z into 0. If we click up here, then it's going to return us a normal vector, 3 parameters, with the x and the z being 0, and the y being a positive number. And if I can get it to, we click over here, of course it's going to be negative x. And if we click on the bottom, it'll be negative y. So it's actually returning the opposite of our normal is what's interesting, what confuses some people. We're shooting down negatively, negative y. But instead, we're getting back a positive y because that's the normal of the side that we clicked on. And it's shooting back up a positive y at us.
Access granted.
So our first method back in Visual Studio will be for the positive y. The first thing we want to do is make sure that a floating point error has not affected our nugget index. We know wherever we clicked, we want that nugget to be empty for place. Now, if we're doing a replace of some sort, then we want that nugget not to be empty. But in this case, while the nugget we've clicked on is not equal to empty, since this is a positive y, we're going to go up one level until we find a nugget that is empty. Simple, simple. And since I may have changed my nugget index, I need to get my column, my y, and my row again. What did I do that for? And if the mouse button is down, then we're going to do that. We're going to set its shape equal to our only shape right now, only real shape right now, and whatever material we have set. And we have to tell our whole chunk to regenerate or recreate itself. Not that big of a deal. For the moment, we'll just put this all on the y. Should be adding the org here. Haven't been doing that, but so else we're going to go ahead and place our preview somewhere to look like we're doing something, because it could just mean that most likely we're just clicking at the very top. If this fails, then we're at the very top of the scene. So we still want to put our preview somewhere. We just don't want it to act goofy and fly off into the distance. All right, let's go. Well, first of all, do this part, and then we'll go test. Okay, let's jump over to Unity.
Access granted.
Alrighty, let's jump back over to Unity. Select our lab. We need to set our materials up and all that. I'm going to drag the straight black and straight white up here again. Create everything just like on Lab 0. The voxel preview material is a box. It's a straight white square. It should be 64 by 64. It's just a box. A white square with a transparent background. It should be uploaded with code. And on the material, I've simply given it a green tint and set the material to fade. Leave the source as metallic alpha, because if we go to albedo alpha, it will no longer be transparent. It will just be semi-transparent. And I need to drag my character down here. Set this to generate, and let's see how it works. Ooh, there we are. So it's getting kind of hard to see with this black and white. You can go to both of them. Give it the standard shader, and as you can see, I got grass and dirt on mine. Just won't get rid of those. There we go. And there is our Y positive. Can't build anywhere else, but we will be able to in a moment. See, right now I'm pointing down to the ground. If I just point to this, it is keeping the last position. So when I click, nothing happens because I'm clicking on the side of this block. And if I click right there, bam, immediately. So it has to be on the top for the moment. Let's get back over to Visual Studio and let's add the rest of them in. Rest of our places in.
Access granted.
So we will just copy the positive Y, paste it back down here. Rename the POS to NEG for negative. And we are going to simply minus. Now you will notice that the only difference on our places between each of the functions is this first line of code. So that's something that can definitely be optimized. Let's get our Z in place also. So I'm going to copy both of these, paste them, change the Y to Z, and let me make sure I got this right. Yeah. So for positive Z is plus or minus the nugget count, and for negative Z it will be minus the nugget count. And now let's copy these two, go up here to the top and turn them into X's. So if it is plus, it will be +1. If it is negative, it will be -1. Or actually it could be, if you wanted to get picky, which is basically the same. Well, it's totally the same thing. Alright, we will copy these, paste them. This one will be an else. Change our norm Y to norm Z. And change both of our Y's to Z's. Now I'll copy them again. Paste them on top this time. Change this one to else. And let's get back over to Unity and test it.
Access granted.
Alrighty. Select this so we can change our input mode. Go to place. And now you can see that we're appearing all over the place. We can just boom, boom. But I have to be able to see the bottom to add one to it. Kind of boring, I know, but it gets better. Alrighty. Now we need to do inners. Inners, we want our preview shape to actually enclose a nugget that has a value, a shape. So I wouldn't want this on the outside of this. I would want this actually encapsulating that shape, that nugget. And we will use inners, INNER, to change materials, erase, and identify. And so let's get to it.